Greetings, welcome to the StrangeNet. My name is Ojel. I am, have been, and always will be your very own stranger. And my apologies. And today I figured I'd open a library. Sure, why not? Hey Valent, nice to see you. How are you? So yeah, Book of Hours is in the same setting as Cultist. As Cultist Simulator, the vibe is way more chill though, so. Yeah, Valent, not anytime soon, I'm afraid. But yeah, without much further ado, let's just get into it. There has been no librarian at Hush House since the fire, 7 years now. Suitable candidates are very difficult to find, but perhaps we have found one in you. Take care on your journey. The seas around Brandkrug are treacherous. Thunder growling, waves pounding, and finally me, sprawled on the sodden sand of the beach. There's something in my hand. Health, half drowned. Shivers rack my soaked body. Your health is failing. Find somewhere to warm up. So, this has a timer, but for some reason the timer doesn't actually do anything, or it didn't last time I checked. Which is somewhat interesting. Memory storm. There are storms great enough to shake the moon from the sky, and one's thoughts from one's skull. Here's one here. And a drowned boat. The one possession I kept from the shipwreck. Must be important. The aspects below tell you more about how and where you can use this item. Hover over them to learn more. And that goes in my inventory slots here. So this is a thing. It is readable. It is a journal. And it is soaked. So, let's try to remember what. Perhaps this book can help me put the pieces together. So, salvage, storm, didn't take everything. Book's in bad shape, and I'm not much better. We're both in need of a warm, dry place and soup. Well, that doesn't help. There was a storm. It smashed the ship like an egg. But I seized this book as the sea seized me. Then the sea brought me here to Brand. And Brandkrug is where I wanted to be. But it's hard to remember why. What else did I lose in the storm? And now we have three different aspects of the soul that I can remember. I only get to keep one of these, and I think it might be interesting if you would really want to choose one. So, a quick introduction. Core. Core is exuberance, instinct, rhythm. Do those mean something? Fat. Fat is the part of us which dreams. Are dreams important to me? Or shopped? Shopped is eloquence and also understanding. The door opens both ways. Is my soul open to knowledge? Whichever of these I don't pick, I pick, the other two will have to wait. Alright? I'm getting shopped. What remains of me? Words. The human soul has 9 parts. Eloquence and understanding rise from that part of the soul we call shocked. Is my shocked strong? Recovered this, the other 2 possibilities will be lost to the sea for now. Let's begin. This is the coast where Brunkirk Isle lies. My sources brief me thoroughly about the place, and I know there's no way I can cross to the island these seas. So I'll need to find shelter for me. So this is my shop. And now we have 4 more aspects of the soul. Metal. Metal is the capacity for meaningful choice. Did I prove my point? Fast is sight, perception, inspiration, all the glorious gifts. Is my soul a bright soul? Adab is pride, compassion, hatred, and fear. Do those passions burn in me, or Wist? Wist is the name, the memory, that part which remains. Is it important to me that things that do? Fast is sight, perception, inspiration, all the glorious gift. Is my soul a bright soul? Metal, you say? Metal is the soul's temper, will, self-discipline, that part of us which makes the right choice. Okay, thank you for your help in choosing your destiny. Perhaps here I can atone for all I've done. But what was that exactly? First things first, I remember there's someone in the village who will give me sanctuary if I can get there. Memories have been added to your journal. You can begin to investigate them when both you and your journal are dry. Drunkirk Village. Sanctuary in the storm. I'll need help to climb the cliffs in the dark, and the locals are suspicious of outsiders. More than ever so since the restoration and the new king. But I have an old friend's address, which is apparently not actually the part I need. I need some sky and assistance. And this is apparently not assistance. Oh right, I have to remember this one. I think. I should try this book out before we do. I suppose, yeah. Oh, I have a new. That's what it's on. Brunkirk village must be nearby, but it's hard going, dragging my soaked body across the soaked sand in the teeth of this wind. Which way? And now I have a memory of fear. The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear. And the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. So I need something that has assistance and sky, which this doesn't. So let's try to interact with it again, really quick. That doesn't help. A cry for help. Perhaps there's someone out there, even in this weather. I can fill my lungs and bellow for help. That would also mean I don't need to crawl any further. At last I see the light of a hurricane lamp bobbing in the dark. As it approaches, the face glimmers above the lamp. A fisherman from Brunkirk village. He can guide me up the cliff mouth, if he trusts me. Well, let's talk to him. Come no closer. What's thy business? I'm a friend of Denzel's. Be someone that'll speak for ye. Of course, since 1930 and the Restoration, the locals have grown ever more suspicious of foreigners. But there is someone in Brunkirk I know. I'll take you by the cliffstep. This gentleman is no longer skeptical. Use him to unlock Bronk's. And welcome to the village. Now Denzel lives here. The smithy. Denzel Smith has more work than he needs, and he rarely opens his door to strangers. A firelit doorway. Denzel looms in the fire-bright doorway. The storm wind plucks at you both. You? Here? How? Denzel only has the one bed, but he can offer me a straw mattress in the smithy. It's smoky, but the warmth is very welcome. Some truths come to us from outside or above. Denzel pauses at the door as I wish him good night. Son will be back, he observes. Always do. Used to say that in the war, didn't we? The words linger as he climbs up the passage. The lamp flame flickers red, gold, red. Denzel Smith, strong as oak, blackened by smoke. He will never surpass his father, and he is no longer a soldier, but he still has his craft. Oh. And now let's talk. I'm always welcome at Denzel's smithy. Denzel will offer help for free as a friend. If you give him occult coinage, he will perform the service of division. Well, that's a bit early. But let's dry our fucking book. Denzel watches with grave interest as I dry the book in the warmth of his forge fire. He provides wads of cotton to put between the pages, but otherwise he keeps his distance. He is wary of the written. I am beginning to suspect he cannot read. I do not expect he will ever learn. And so now we learn what path A has chosen for me. The Scarred Book. I see. Goatskin, antelope, some scarred leather that catches my memory. And my memory. I should know. Well, that'll be a concern for another day. So now let's talk to you, Denzel, again. Denzel rarely works for free, but he won't take payment for helping a friend. So Denzel the blacksmith will lend me a strength for today. And so we set him in here. Every so often, someone builds a bridge to the island. Each bridge lasts 100 years, or 200, then the sea disposes of it. This was built in the 1890s, and that makes it the newest bridge. But that doesn't mean it's new. And now all my things are fatigued, so I'm out of real things to do. Oh well, that's what the fast forward button is for. Let's at least do this. After the restoration of 1930, the new king's agents came looking for his enemies in these parts. and they weren't gentle about it. Since those days, the locals are suspicious of foreigners. No one in the Sweet Bones will talk to me. Now we go from dawn to dusk. Memories well, or I can be. Look, there are clouds. In this country, the sky is rarely clear. The sun goes courteously cloaked. Let's get Denzel to vouch for me. I haven't come alone. Denzel doesn't say a word. He sits with his arms folded and waits until others come to pay their respects to him at our table. Because I am going to want to work here. Eventually, the other patrons unbend enough to let me buy them a pint, and let me listen to them complain about the weather. I'll find a warmer welcome here next time. And now let's enlist Denzel's aid again. And do some manual labor. It's not much work on offer in Brankrug, but I can find sixpence worth of odd jobs. A cottage where Hushhouse's groundskeeper lived, until the fire. If I can get into the place and make it habitable, I can use it as a base for reclaiming more of the house. Hush House has been many things over the centuries, including in the nocturnal period of 1896 to 1929, a jail. No one remembers that period fondly, but at least it meant Nocturnal Branch paid for a new bridge. And so we have unlocked the first room of the library. As they used to say in my youth, the day is done, and so am I. But I've earned my pay. And so here we have our first house. Our first house has this key, or first room rather, not first house, and a bed. Which I should probably have. Oh well. We'll occupy it next time. And we have our first set of books, which obviously I can't read yet, because I'm not in the position to. Let's rest up then. Rest and refreshment. Tuppence will buy me a hearty meal and a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. It is spring, and the landlady has served me a slice of her stargazy pie, with the pilchard heads poking cheekily through the hot crust. The Hush House key. Heavy enough that it takes both hands to turn. Heavy enough to brain someone, though you'd need both hands for that too. The walls of the house tower above me. I had been told that it was abandoned after a fire, but there is no sign of any such thing. The building will no doubt need restoration, but it's in better shape than I feared. Books are the memory that does not die, reads the inscription above the gate. Might as well use the key. It's funny how in a certain light the most esoteric thing in this game is the Huh. Why does this not work? Oh, because I needed heart. Derp. Oh well, that's fine. Might as well just use this for some more later then. Fixing the men. There's not much work on offer in Browncrook, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs. Kinda wish the game had an intermediate zone between far too close and a little bit too far. Oh well. I don't remember that being much of a problem, so I'll get over it eventually. And here we have our first proper room, the Watchman's Tower Gatehouse. Back in the 11th century, Brian of Brittany built the tower and its gates to protect St. Brendan's Abbey, as Hush House was then known. Later, the Barons the Wolf strengthened the gates against their many enemies, but it's a long time now since Hush House was any kind of fortress, and by the time the scholars of the Curious took possession, this place had long been a comfortable waiting room for the visitors to the house too minor to merit immediate attention. And there's a bunch of things in here, some clean linen, some dandelion wine, a potted dragon tree, and a chair. And some books, and coffee and tea, packets, some shadowless silk, you know, a bunch of stuff. They sure do, Valen. They sure do. Either that or their workplaces. But even the workplaces have aspects. Memories fade, assistance departs, but the soul is refreshed. I'll make this my lodgings for the time being. Both listeners may have something for me, once I know what to ask for. Both listeners regards me with the chilly gaze of a goddess image in an ancient hill track. The librarian, says she. Yes, I have something for you. Wait here, please. And meanwhile, I can get Denzel to help me. So I need forge and lantern for this, and I need lantern and nectar for this. Denzel doesn't have nectar, but he does have forge. Or rather, forge or lantern. The postmistress returns to me with an envelope addressed to the librarian, Hush House, Bronkrook Isle, postmarked in Wales a week ago. And then she gives me a 10-shilling note. Side note, yes, this is just British money, but old British money. A letter to me from St. Ronwen's Trust. The trust connection with Hush House is probably benevolent, but persistently obscure. I finished reading. St. Ronald's Trust wishes to congratulate me on my appointment as the librarian of Hush House. The Trust assures me that it will provide the promised stipend each spring, but reminds me that its resources are limited and suggests I seek local assistance in restoring the premises. Let us know when you are all set up and ready to receive visitors, the letter concludes. It's signed simply, the Trustees. So I'm going to want to eventually write up a reply to that, but not right now. The gatehouse stairs. The stairs to the room above me are blocked with debris and the plaster is peeling from the walls. I'll need help from the village to clear and restore the place. And so we have our first room with a desk. And a bunch of things. So, some ink, a mirror scope, a bust of someone called Walter the Wolf, Baron Silence's astrolabe. Thomas the Wolf used his armor, a spherical astrolabe, in his calculations, but it's much older than he was. And a magnificent 18th century secretary desk commissioned for Lady Eva the Wolf, last of the Bronkrook the Wolves. And here we have a list of aspects that I can use on this desk, which is Edge, Grail, Moon, and Winter. Moon is another new aspect. There will be 5 new ones and one that has gone missing, almost as if it's been expanded into those 5. But anyway, I don't know what to do with Edge so much, aside from maybe read my scored book. Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. Studying requires effort. You'll always need a suitable soul card for it. My journal. That battered leather cover is familiar, but the storm so scattered my thoughts. Well, let's see, shall we? This is a safe place for now, to the extent that my dreams are safe. My journal, I'm sure of it. The storm scattered my thoughts, but each page I turn is familiar. I begin to recall now why I came here, to understand my curse and redeem myself. More about your origin and your aspirations in your journal. You can now also access the Tree of Wisdom from the top of the screen. And I get an extra unit of shot. I am the librarian of the Hush House, and this journal will record what arose from my crime and my curse. The archaeologist's dearest wish, when they came through the house, was to record a history where the crime could be forgiven, or redefined, but you can complete the game by recording any history. You might wish to begin your studies with the Scholicosophy. Why is that word so hard to say? Scholicosophy wisdom. We're not gonna go into the Tree of Wisdom quite yet. Mostly because I don't feel like it. And here we have two books that we've read in the previous game, but they're back here because of course they are. So unfortunately, I can't use shop in this book, in this place. Well, I might as well start cataloging some of these books. An uncatalogued book of the Nocturnal Era. And you can't use your health to catalog books. I forgot about it. This book was probably written around the time of Hush House's nocturnal period, after the turn of the century. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. Books from this period are almost never contaminated. Well, that's nice to know. Some books are sometimes contaminated, I guess. Now I have an idea of the book's nature and its contents. The intimations of skin. Huh. Now the book actually tells you what skills there are in there. That didn't used to be the case. Neat. Not that it helps much if I can't read them. This book was probably written around the time of Hushhouse's baronial period, roughly 1500 to 1700. If I can examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. Books from this period are only rarely contaminated. Contaminated with what? That's a good question, Faye. Oh wow, now we have a book that I entirely am not gonna be able to read. I should probably consider getting some people to actually help me open these rooms. Oh, interesting, Tube. Thank you. Also, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay here at the Strange Land. I don't think dental can help me much at the moment. I forgot what those aspects are. In any case, let's hire some people. The worst that can happen is I waste some energy. Oh my, a gale. Oh, so he can help me. Because if there's a gale, then I can talk about the gale to give him some sky power. Talk about the weather. More useful than one might expect, especially in Britain. So, yeah, we are somewhere in the British Isles, and that's all we'll ever learn about where we are. Which is only fair. It's Hogwarts logic. Let's take advantage of this weather while it lasts. Sure, let's. That is the wrong place, Angel. The ceiling bows worryingly under a damp patch. There must be a leak in the observatory. The sun above knows what state it's in. I should seek help, and enter carefully. A surrealist painter. She provides Grail Moth and Rose, which you wanted Grail, and so that works for me. Jesus, how much money did you want? A lot, apparently. $24. Well, if it gets me some cheaper help. A mutual acquaintance has induced the killers to invite me for fish supper. If I'm lucky, fish supper may mean Miss Gillis celebrated collapse. Mr. Killer pumps my hand. Just me and D and a miss tonight. Well, there's a client in the back, but if D don't bother E, he won't bother D. Killer's household is now available. And unfortunately, my help isn't. Mrs. Killer, the midwife, is tall and gloomy. Mr. Killer, the undertaker, is slight and wry. For 10 years she has drawn villagers into the world, and he has shaped cradles for their departure. But she can also whittle, and he can also paint. I see. And now the top floor of the Watchman's Tower. Thomas the Wolf, second Baron Bronkrug, who they called Baron Silence, built this observatory in 1576, by happy coincidence, just in time to observe the passage of the Great Comet in 1577. And we get a giant telescope, which I'm not gonna be doing anything with for a while. But it's sure here. And some more baronial period books. I forgot how annoying that astrolabe is. This book was probably written around the time of Hushhouse's Curia period, roughly 1700s to 1800s. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. So we have Nocturnal, Baronial, and Curia periods so far. The Fire Circle Tantra. Oh, of course it's here. Whoops, I wasn't really intending to hire someone like that. Can you be useful? Firstly, not like that. That is not what I intended, but I could encourage my assistant, work with them for a little while, exalt them, or I could just listen to whatever they might have to say. I've learned something, or perhaps just remembered it. A memory of impulse. If I had another one such as it, I might be able to open that door. But instead I'm just gonna reply to this letter. Oh, the soul card actually determines the tone of the letter. Never mind that. In that case, I might as well wait for a little while and... I could, of course, catalog more books, or I could inspect. Oh, go back. Or I could inspect these umbrellas, because why not? A treasury of shelter. It's like an armory for not getting pneumonia. Oddly phrased, but sure. A thick deposit has accrued to the bottom of the stack. 100 years of rain applied to 100 winters of mud. I didn't think that would be helpful, and I'm glad that my instincts are correct. Getting 4 knock shouldn't be impossible, but might require some luck in getting the right memory. You know what? While this is all going on, might as well visit the Tree of Wisdom. So, this is the Tree of Wisdom. Right now, I might as well throw my rescue journal in there. My memories lie curled in my journal like a seed in winter earth. Once you've rescued and read your journal, you use it to unlock the tree. There are always choices, and so there are always regrets. Unlock the tree and gain a tryst card. Now we have 9 slots here, which we will come back to later. Here I began my climb. Trist, the change and the longing, one of the 9 parts of the human soul. So, associated slightly with moon and a lot with moth. Well, because of course it is the change. Let's go see if these two do not want to work with me. That's fine. Rain! Krill and Nectar. Okay, so I can just ask Denzel to help me then. A consulting engineer provides forge, sky, and lantern assist. May as well, I suppose. Seven Faces of Icarus. Another 4 sky one. Let's investigate the bust, shall we? Ooh, a stolen secret. Fortunately, that still leaves me one knock short. Would be nice if I had something that required 4 moon, but I only have 4 sky. Serena Blackwood, intense librarian, an undoubtable scholar and administrator who quarreled with the prison governor and never completed her term. Alright, let's... I could do that. Now I kinda don't want to though. Especially because I don't know if that helps. I love how someone has carved a fucking tea bag in here though. But fuck it, let's brew some tea. Bring water to the boil. Permit the potential here to express itself. Gossip. It's not that helpful either. I don't know if she actually can be that helpful, but... Alternatively, I could just use... Oh wait, no I can't. I don't have an appropriate skill. Also, I'm not gonna drink an entire fucking... Oh wait, I can just pour the thing out. So that is a dock. Unfortunately, I don't think you can drink that while studying. So that doesn't actually help me read. Well, let's just have her open this long tower instead. The long tower. The long tower looks like it's been abandoned much longer than 7 years. In the nocturnal period, the inhabitants probably spent most of their time on the seaward side of the island. They'll need help to restore the room above. Also, St. Brendan's Cloister. The sisters and the brothers of the abbey built these gardens in the 13th century, at the height of the period we now call Solar Gotham. Walk here a while and breathe the peace they left. I should probably also categorize some more of these books. And now we have a new desk. A pale desk. Solomon Husher himself commissioned this from Lockwood. Van Bog yew, blackened and half fossilized by centuries underwater. Here at the desk he wrote his doomy allegory of winter and its romance with the sun. When he blotted the last word on his manuscript and rose from his work, the timber had turned pale as fresh-cut maple. Or so the story goes. Jesus, that is not getting read anytime soon. And we also have the second floor of the Long Tower. In 1818, the very Reverend Solomon Usher became third librarian of the Curia of the Isle. He took rooms in the Long Tower as his quarters. Usher's tastes were Spartan. Although the Curia generally liked a little more luxury, no one ever quite dared to redecorate the place after its disappearance. More rain. I suppose that could be useful. And we'll just talk to Denzel. Revelation that would be useful from anyone else. Yep, sure is. 4 heart. I don't really have a desk to apply heart to my books quite yet. I don't want to use my finite amount of Creole, Moth, and Rose. I do need something I need a Rose person to unlock. The War of the Roads, 4 edge. Well, I have 1. That's not 4. Hindsight. Don't need hindsight. The first true threshold. I've reached the threshold of the house proper. The librarians of the Curia were scholars of note. Some were potent adepts. From here, I should proceed carefully, observing the proper forms, making the appropriate offerings. Villagers and the other locals know the ways of the earth and the sea hereabouts. Their assistance will be invaluable. The Ceaseless Tantra. And here we have a bunch of stuff, none of which is really that useful immediately. But it's all here. The entrance hall. The beginning of the house proper. The Curia used to issue gloves and slippers of soft leather to protect the books and premises. Visitors were often asked to remove their shoes. Pause a moment and listen to the histories. Foresight. If only I had a place where I could apply some apply these and a book that required lantern. Unfortunately, I don't have either. What are you getting at, Faye? You know, I could just boost him myself. I guess. Though I would argue that the place in blueprints has never been quite unrestored. Just, it's more of a shifting labyrinth sort of deal. But I get what you mean. Let's talk about regret. Not regret. I swear one of these had edge. Am I stupid? I might be stupid. Oh well. Maybe I'll get lucky. Fear. That works. Let's exalt Denzel with a memory. A memory of fear. Fear, which is lightly bound in edge, we know edge, and strongly bound in scale. Hard without, hard within, hard to rouse, and hard to subdue. Scale is what is left of the crude powers of the deep earth. I can't believe I actually got away with that too. The ground floor. The ground ascent ground floor. The stairs here are clear, but the air here is thick with old magic. I should move carefully, and I should not go alone. Still no sign of any fire. Why then was the house abandoned? I suppose we'll find out eventually, won't we? And so here we have the Grand Ascent, the staircase that served as the spine of the house. Baron Walter's great project, executed by Master Mason Gregory Wheel. What we also have here is a bunch of slots for, or a bunch of places where we can place busts. A niche with a plaque. Who returned loyalty for loyalty and curse for curse? Who saw what had not yet passed? Who commanded the raising of the stair? Who was feared more than he merited? And who was mocked more than he merited? That is something we will get into when we get into it. But first I need more assistance. It's sunny, which means 2 lantern and 2 sky. A reminder, a message from St. Ronran's Trust has arrived. Well, they're gonna have to wait a bit. A reminder from St. Ronran's Trust that I hadn't yet replied to them. The Trust hopes I've arrived safely, but wonders why, if so, I haven't yet replied. The letter is simply signed, the Trustees. Well, because shit is slightly complicated. I haven't found an appropriate desk, is the kind of weird answer. I don't know if that actually does something, and I don't really want to know, but if the manner of replying actually does something, I mean. I'm just going to assume it does and operate based on that. A musician. Sky, Rose, and Nectar. Surely there must be somewhere I can place that. Queen's turn. That is quite a collection of stats you want, friend. I do have somewhere place I could send him immediately, but I also kind of don't want to. Because it might give me some useful memories. Notes on bindings. Gossip. Well, that would get me into the dimly lit chamber. It is summer. I am sitting on this bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese in nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. 6 sky. Well, I don't have any aspects that help me with sky, unfortunately. Rats. Intuition. I don't think I need 4 rows, even if I did. Aspects I have strong access to are Moth, Knock, and Forge. And I can't apply Forge directly because I don't have any desk for it. Same with Knock, actually. Satisfaction. That doesn't help either. Let's just talk to him about Rose and about intuition. Seems only fair to talk to a musician about intuition. Memories don't last as long outside books, but it's made a difference for the day. Van Lauren's old protections hang heavy in the air here, clotting the air with shadows. I'll need counter-influences to unwind them. Huh. Hang on. That says first bat on the wolf. Might as well put him on this pedestal then. Assuming he wants to go on it. There we go. Hendrik de Roo, first Baron Brandkrug, known for his pious, merciless justice. Granted Brandkrug Isle in 1536 after the dissolution of St. Brandon's. Brandon's? Probably St. Brandon's. And here we have another desk that... Why do all these early desks have so much overlap with things I don't actually have? At least there are a bunch of niches in here, so I can start sorting these goddamn books by which aspect I need to actually read them. that requires knock, sky, edge. I am kind of picking the niches at random, or semi-random at least. Then we have traveling in line 1 and 2. That heart book should be readable with some luck. Which one was sky? These ones were sky. And knock was over here. Interestingly, if I hover over that, the other one does line up. Yes, Windows, what's the issue? And finally the Ceaseless Tantra, which for some reason is not in a scroll, unlike the other Tantra. Rain, once again. Well, it is summer in Britain, apparently that means rain. And this is moth. I guess I'll throw that over here. Let's go find someone to hire. Maybe check if I can just get away with getting Denzel to get Denzel to open the first floor of the Grand Ascent. Let's do that, shall we? Solar, Dawn, Curia, Nocturnal. Nocturnal have been written the most recently, so while I don't expect all of them to be easier, I expect some of them to be easier. And here we have some more tea. That will never go bad as long as I don't read it for some reason. Drink it. For some reason. Well, that's Denzel immediately just giving me Forge. You know what? I'll take it. $26 enticement, 7 torments. That's Grail. Sky, Roads, and Nectar. May as well, I suppose. knock. I would appreciate it more if I knew where to read them. At this point, the capstone moment of this stream will be finally getting to read a single goddamn book. I suppose I can try and read the journal again, though. Memories, the archaeologist. I opened the tomb and found too late that it was a prison. The plague that I released is now my shadow, or perhaps I am its reflection. It is too late to set matters right, but it is never too late to protect the future from the past. In Hush House I can do no harm, and perhaps I can even make amends. Denzel could get me in a smoking room at least, with some luck. I don't know why the word luck took me so long to say. If I get the musician to untangle the tangle of thorns, the flower garden now overrun with thornweeds and briar rose, and I get my metal back in time. Inspiration and determination. And now we have a scent garden and a hurricane lamp. But now we can get flowers, which might be useful eventually, but right now might not really be. But in any case, let's unlock the smoking. A tarnished brass sign on the door clearly reads "Smoking Room." Rags of very old smoke swayed restlessly, hazing the room beyond. What remains of the protections von Lauren was placed on it, and yet, still, no sign of a fire. I'm starting to consider that this fire might have not been in the real world. Now we have a desk with some actual forge and knock, so I can, first of all, reply to this letter, and secondly, actually get this show on the road. So first, let's reply to this letter. I do need some ink for that, though. I'm generally quite shy about spending consumables, but I know I can get the ink back, so that's not too bad. The journey was not straightforward, but here I am. Hush House is empty and peaceful. Nothing walks these halls. If something once did, 7 years ago, the fire must have burst. And it's sunny, so I might be able to open this room eventually. As for right now, I wonder if I can read my journal again, if that does anything. But I do need to be in the correct space for that. I can match this with enough edge to match mystery edge. Oh, I actually can. And apply to the trust. Memory foresight. Patience. Thus the mountain awaits the fall of the snow. Thus Monday awaits the death of the weekend. Thus the postmistress waits for me to purchase the necessary stamp. Stamp, envelope, stamp. A king marked stamp. The postmistress examines the letter and deems it sufficient. It'll go with the next post, she assures me. I should probably have read what that said, but it said now I can expect it. Slightly terrifying. I forgot that this asteroid was here. That doesn't help me in itself, though. Well, no, I didn't forget that it was here, and I forgot that it was useful. You're enjoying the Watchpot Expanded OC. Well, that's nice. One of the things I would like to get to is one of these rooms over here has a well, which will get me free water, which is actually really nice. A 12 letters on consequence. That could actually, in theory, be useful. 4 moon is not insurmountable. Won't be easy, but I have 1. I can, if I can get 2 from memory and 1 someplace else. The astrolabe is unhelpful, unfortunately. Side note, where's my journal? Oh, here it is. I've mastered this and gathered the lessons it contained. Wolf stories and ragged crossroads. And here's how I get my actual goddamn skills. And I've been looking for some for way too goddamn long. I've gained more understanding of wolf stories. Apparently you've sent me right into winter by accident. Or maybe not by accident. But apparently you've sent me right into a winter playthrough, Vay. If I'm reading these correctly. Or not necessarily winter, but another leaf of the Tree of Wisdom. The area of my first skill. It's a wolf story. Sometimes we eat the wolf, and sometimes the wolf eats us. I think it's more moon than anything else, actually. Secrets are soft. Night is softer still. The sea speaks. It is not always wise to listen. Moon. The nocturnal, the forgotten. It is. There are 5 new aspects and one that has been removed slash maybe expanded upon. There's some debate about whether about what exactly the Secret Histories principle in the previous game has become of it. In any case, Ragged Crossroads. To understand why 4 paths were not taken. In any case, I could assign these skills to a spot in the Tree of Wisdom. I'm not gonna, because I have a little bit of a strategy that might fuck me over early, but will help me later on. In theory. But yeah, there are 5 new aspects. The aspects of Nectar, Scale, Moon, Sky, and Rose have come in to replace the aspect of the Secret Histories, which in some interpretations means that the Secret Histories has been divided into those 5 aspects, because a librarian would be much more specific than would have a much more specific understanding of those than just the histories that didn't happen. And there is a link between the 5 new powers and and a description of the 5 previous histories. So, yeah, look, I'm not the best at explaining it without knowing the exact line, but that is something that has been discussed. In any case, I now have some actual goddamn skills and might be finally able to get somewhere. Unfortunately, these skills are maybe not the best example. Although I can read this book here, with the 12 letters on consequence. Chances are I've read this in a previous game, but that's fine. Is the woman in the main menu someone you actually meet? I'm not certain. There is a non-zero chance that that is actually the person you're playing as. But I couldn't tell you. It's been a while and I don't remember every fucking person that comes to visit the library. So I'm not gonna say it isn't. Start by doing some manual labor. Not like that. Like this. Upgrade this skill. Which works in mostly the same way as upgrading your stats in the first game. Except now you upgrade your stats indirectly for the most part. And this is 1, this is 2, so I do need to go grab Denzel's just so he can talk my ear off. Now Denzel, I would like to get some moon, if you wouldn't mind. That was a sentence. I can also make use of this ragged crossroads and the metal to find a Edge 4 book like this one here and read that instead. That is not moon. What happens if I toss that reminder in the fire? Perhaps this letter is irritating, or useless, or dangerous. It's mostly irritating. Hindsight, that is. Still not what I wanted, Denzel. I mean, it'll get there eventually. I do have quite literally infinite time. Because unlike the previous game, this game is explicitly not trying to kill you. Which I would show you if the opening screen had any music. But anyway, Edge, Ragged Crossroads, Metal, that brings me to 4. And also, this is a crafting list that we will not be interacting with right this moment. And so we can master this mystery. The War of the Roads, 1451 to 1551. Willis Ford describes the War of the Roads, an event in a history other than our own, in detail. From its beginnings as a martial philosophical dispute between the dawn and sunset roads of alchemy, to a war which ravaged half of Europe. Also, there's more niches here. Who knew cages, not to be crossed and not to be found. Yeah, one of these said the 6 battle Brandkrug, so might as well put Mr. Valentine in his niche. It is now widely believed that the sons and daughters of the Red Rose were forged into immortals. Understandably, they are, after all, now all long dead. The forge itself devoured the greatest among them. I do like the fact that I have these drawers where I can just, where your shit just goes slightly self-organizing. Intuition! Holy shit, he actually pulled through for me. That, I was kind of not expecting that. So, wolf stories. I can make a midnight mark. I'm not gonna because I don't actually know what marks are that useful for. Well, I know what marks would be useful for, but they're not directly helpful, in any case. Moon, a culmination. I can master this mystery. The 12 Letters and Consequence. Julian Cozely's epistolary treatise on what may come after, addressed to his once friend Claude Hersol, the mystic and antiquarian. One thing I wish is that I wish I knew when you had 2 minutes or less remaining. Because I don't think you're alright, you're not allowed to work when it hits dusk, and dusk is exactly 1 minute. Probably something to do with not wanting the timer to go over while you're working and then you're locked out of a refresh. The royalty of England, according to Willis Ford, became the sovereigns of the Leashed Flame, destroying or transforming their enemies, conquering Europe, establishing grand cathedrals to Saints' Park. The alliance with the Forge begins to take its toll. At last, the Bronze King undergoes his great misfortune and great debasement, and is afterwards known as the Copper King. His attempt to cheat the Forge ends badly. The Leashed Flame is released, and the King's heirs are merely mortal sovereigns. And what do we get? One lesson learned of the Meniscate Reflections, and some the memory of foresight. And the book goes back where it was. Now, the one thing I hope, which they didn't do, which is kind of awkward, is tell me which memory comes from which book, because that becomes a little bit of a cataloging nightmare. There are a lot of books in this game, and you might want to read one for memories. By the time he wrote these letters, Cosley was identified with the oneiropolitical worms movement and her soul with the birds, meaning roughly that her soul held the order of the hours to be desirable and Cosley held it to be oppressive. Also, the meniscus reflections, Dojal, goddammit. Without is purified, within is erased. Many of Cosley's arguments about the consequences and finality are couched in erudite and practical alchemical terms. Others appear to be thinly veiled threats directed at her soul. Some are both. Memory regrets and putrefactions and calcinations. A lot of winter memories. Or forge memories. Well, that's to be expected in a sense, I guess. Another leaf with the Tree of Wisdom. Now, I could slot these into these slots in the Tree of Wisdom. I'm not gonna, because I have a special plan for the first layer of the Tree of Wisdom. Might be a dumb plan, but it is mine. Let's catalog some more books, shall we? Clouds. The amalgam of the red rose. That is a lot of forge. Slightly more than I have. The incandescent mantra. And the hunting journals of red. Also, I said mantra, I meant tantra. Whoops. A poet. The elegiac poet provides winter, love, and sky assistance. Meaning he could get me into the second floor of the long tower, so I'm not sure if that's the best thing to use him for. The web snared room with some effort. Is that worth it? Not really, to be honest. Should probably speed this up. These books are not gonna catalog themselves. Ambrose Westcott. This bust is custom brass. Well, that's simple. That's new. And that's all I will comment about that for right now. Maybe once we're more established I can look into what the hell that was. 6 winter. I don't have any winter in my soul, so maybe not. Also, I'm gonna need a new shelf. I'm running out of shelves to put this on. Solomon Hushers seems like a good place to stick that, though. I'm guessing they won't let me work. Oh no, they actually will. Just probably the issue of I'll lose the nightly reset. Which is a shame, but oh well. And once again, it is safe. And once again, it is cloudy. For knock. Greater challenges for skills. I don't have access to 4 knock, I think. Not easily, at least. So, onto the pilot goes. I should probably actually set the clock on. Eighth moon. That's a bit excessive. Another 4 sky one. Please give me something else. I mean, yes, I am partially doing this to myself, but still. Almanac of Entrances. Another 8 moon one. Night has fallen. Dawn will come soon. The Fursing Tundra. I guess I can go with the other trail one. And it is sunny. An advertisement from Caterin Hero. The firm Caterin Hero, alive to the possibility of commerce, has sent a smudgily printed catalog addressed to the library. Also, current affairs. What's happening in the world beyond Brandgrove? What visitors will the season bring? We'll either draw a new incident, find a suitable visitor for the current incident, or retire the current incident if there are no visitors for it left. Order form. Caterin Hero has offices almost everywhere. Not in this misty limb of the kingdom, but they will, at least, deliver you. Use ink to order items of interest. A few lines on an order form won't consume the ink. When your delivery arrives, it'll contain a new order form. Yeah, how about not right now? I appreciate the fact that they tell you that it won't consume the goddamn ink, though. You know what, Denzel? Ambrosio, another forge one that I might eventually be able to read. Can I get some easier forge ones? At this point, I'd be fine with a 6. Orchard Keeper. Nectar and the Little Hearts. Not right now. It is autumn when the leaves rustle. The silent landlady has served me apple pie with steamed cream in the window nook. Nice. The affair of the developments in the world beyond Brandgrove, drawing a new incident. in a hidden fold of the mountains above the city of... Well, I'm not reading the rest of that. Mr. Zachary Wakefield. Let's see what's good. The affair of the messenger's casket. In a hidden fold of the mountains above the city of Cludge, I'm almost saying that, certainly saying that incorrectly, lies the enigmatic relic they call St. Mihail's coffin. Decades of patient work has finally breached its outer shell. Visitors with an interest in Nock or Moon mysteries will want to talk about it. And then we have Mr. Zachary Wakefield. Marksman, detective, renegade. He has always been a quiet man, but since he left the Suppression Bureau, he has grown even quieter and terribly still, except for his fingers and for his eyes, always in restless motion. Librarian, I can see you. If there's an incident card active, you can discuss it, or just leave the slot empty and offer a consultation. It was open once before, when they locked him away. Try a book with as much mystery as their interest. Well, their interest is free, so literally any book, I guess. I know the key. I only need its name. This is another time. That was the first time. I hope he stays afterwards so he can teach me Kilisimi. Understands this woven language well enough to read or teach it. So yeah, this is a library. Occasionally people will want to read books. Fortunately, they don't want to borrow them, just read them. Which means I don't also have to go and chase after them to return the goddamn books. At least not as far as I know. Winter, Jesus Christ. And the man has gone, but he has given me a bronze Bintia. Zachary Wakefield seemed to think he had found the name of the coffin's key, here at the Hush House. So yeah, now that affair will be going on for a while, outside of our purview, and we go on cataloging books. Until we finally find one we can goddamn read. God damn it. Behave, you piece of shit. You know, I might as well talk to Denzel about the sunny weather. Nectar. I don't think I have a nectar book. yet, so you're going in here. But yeah, for lending him a book, we have gotten 1 bronze Spintria. Which is nice. Well, letting him read it. A mutual acquaintance has induced Reverend Timothy, the rector, to invite me for tea. There may even be crumpets. Reverend Timothy's tea goes cold while he expostulates about post-restoration politics and theorizes about the pagan traditions of the miners. The rectory is now available. So yeah, now I have access to every somewhat basic helper. I won't be using them much, but I have access to them. And so our labors continue. Hey look, a book I can actually read. That's a surprise. De Horace Book 2, in Latin. A 19th century reprint by the indefatigable Nathaniel Darcy Evers of a 14th century Latin translation of a 4th century work. Oh, gotta love translation telephone. Also, it's written in Latin, a dead language. Dead as diamonds. The librarian can read Latin, but don't assume others can. Because of course a librarian would be able to read fucking Latin. Or at least an occult librarian would. It's like, there are esoteric languages you can't assume that you can read. Latin is one you can. Fast forward a bit. So, this is a book we can read. Ragged Crossroads, Metal, De Horace. It's raining, which means Grail and Nectar. Speaking of Grail, let's see if I can convince someone to This will be a fun game of who's along as we meet more people. What do you mean, Valen? I think I know what you mean, but can you explain anyway? This volume deals mostly with the hour called Lionsmith, the hour called the Tribune of Scars, and with their enmity. The Tribune of Scars, also known as a Colonel. I've always found that a weird pronunciation of that word, Colonel. They're so horrible. Oh, you're assuming we'll get to meet along at some point. Sure. We may not know it, but sure. Actually, I don't know if Zachary Wakefield isn't one. The Lionsmith makes monsters to defeat the Tribune, but the scars of the Tribune are each a weapon. Disciplines of the Hammer. And some foresight. Wasn't that a force book that only required to see? Nope, no there wasn't. A consulting engineer. That is not who I wanted to see. Forged Sky and Lantern. Might still be able to use her though. An unusual nun. Knock, Moon, and Crail. Fuck it. Might as well expand my reach a little. What? Should you be able to open that? Oh, you can only unlock one room at a time, that's why. Kind of arbitrary, but oh well. I guess you need to be dead in person to actually help unlock the room. The Victory of Crowns, another Edge book. I may need to find a larger shelf for those to go on. Actually, since I'm not reading those here, might as well keep them where I am reading them. fog. Oh. Oh, wait. That is a lot of knock power. I should make use of that. Horns and Ivories. The Edict's Liminal, I believe, is a knock skill. Traveling at Night, Volume 1. The Annotated Dream Journals of Christopher Illipoli, sometimes called the only readable occultist. Illiterate, entertaining, and booming. Also, The Victory of Christ. Heretics accounts by Aaron of the hunting and consumption of supposed immortals by shadowy assassins, published in the late 19th century. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that fog would be knock weather. The assassins are, according to Aaron, the agents of a power called the Colonel, a soldier of the Secret Masters. The accounts date back to Roman times. That is quite a while ago. The wood lies outside the walls of the manses. As any student of the histories knows, the manses has no walls. Gotta love the contradictions. Aaron's scholarship is dubious, but she, writes piffily, incidents of sudden and violent death are interspersed with aphorisms. Hours don't dream. Long, try not to. Memory contradiction. What did I just say? And the lesson sharps. That should get me to 6. 6 edge. Not that I think I can do anything with 6 edge, but you know. Illipoli describes how he came to make repeated visits to a dreamwood via what he calls silver dreams. Trying to think your way to the wood, he explains, is like thinking your way to being in love. But I did find a secret that helped. The secret being the Edict's Liminal. And a memory of an impulse. Why am I waiting on that? Oh, that's why. Shards. Knives, dangers, and things out of place. Easy enough. The treatise on underplays. But first the Edict 7. The precepts of limitations and division, established by the enigmatic conclave of hours, sometimes called the Chancel. Let's see if he can get me my final knock piece. Eventually, I should probably try to place some more of these busts in their correct niche. But a lot of this game is allocating time. He does a lot with silence, this man. Speak to Denzel. He might even reply. Hang on, I think it might actually be useful. If I talk to... Oh goddammit, did I ruin something? Seems fine. I'll fix it afterwards. Night has fallen. Dawn will come soon. Well. Earn my money. And unlock the third floor of the Grand Ascent. Frost crackles on the window panes as I ascend, and the light strikes at my eyes with like knives. Another of von Lauren's forbiddings. Storm. Huh. That is a strong one. So, the third floor. By long tradition, each bed and Bronkrog had their image set in a niche in the Grand Ascent. Later, the curia of the Isle continued the tradition for their librarians. Interestingly, we might have to alter this tradition because we're running out of niches. Because the 11th librarian is who returned to complete what he began, and the 12th librarian is ourselves. This, of course, would be me. I could use whatever I want as mage. But there's only one slot left. Which is slightly awkward. Let's hire an orchard keeper. On the Matters and the Deeds of Servants. That is quite a hard book to read. I should not be surprised, and yet somehow I am. Apparently autumn is the earliest season. You'd think it would be winter. Interesting. Lantern. I figured I had a lantern book already. Somehow I don't. Oh, this belongs here. Whoops, I should have double checked that. Oh well. A stolen secret. I should have known he would come in with that, but oh well. Nothing stopping me from recovering another thing. Meanwhile, the infirmary. Musgrave the Wolf. That is, another the wolf. And the bust is carved from wolf. Cherry one? The game doesn't want to kill you, but can you be hurt? Hurt in what way, I would ask. You can get some negative influences on your soul aspects, which make them harder to use. But you cannot be hurt in a permanent way. You know what? I might as well unlock the rest of the beach, the tidal flats. How about anything time sensitive? Could you clarify what you mean with that? Stolen secret, the edict liminal, and finally, let's read the treatise on underplace. Herein, the 17th century mystic and antiquarian Claude Hersault describes the bounds or underplaces on the borders of dreams. He warns that they shift over. Tasks do take time to complete, but it is not called a simulator where you are racing a timer sometimes. No, not at all. You cannot under any circumstances lose your run. However, there is one thing where you are racing a timer, which is that every time night strikes, you lose all your memories. Sometimes some things are quite difficult to get within the 6-minute day. I say you lose all your memories. You don't lose all your memories, you lose most of them. Also, anyone you hire for assistance after the day ends will go home. So you do need to kind of lock in your progress by day end a little bit. The infirmary, a refuge for all who do the world, a refuge for all the world might consider impure. I think I read something about it. Musgrave the Wolf, but that's still a the wolf, so hang on, wasn't Walter the last Baron the Wolf? Which would make him number 7. I may have to double check. The walls of the monsters, Hersault begins, are the size of starlight. Many of his directions are equally unhelpful, but common relationships do emerge. And so day breaks. I should have opened this. Oh well. A picaresque account of a journey through nighttime, interspersed with what might be partial rites. On the 18th ascent is the bud. On the 36th ascent, the Blossom. Horns and ivories. I didn't think that would actually be a knock lesson. It's almost definitely more skill than knock, though. Knock and scale. I mean, that was to be expected. The hunter, the way, and their memories. That does get me to 4th scale. Which, one of these things did ask for 4th scale. But I need... I can't really read. I need an aspect of the soul that is a lantern, which none of these are, I believe. Lantern scale, wait, health is scale, I believe, but then I need to recover health. That's fine. Hang on, you're a winter book. Why are you in there? Six Forge. That might actually be possible. Assuming I have... I know one of the books I read can get me foresight. The problem is I don't remember which one. I'll just go talk to Denzel instead. Hope he just talks to me about foresight. Walter the Wolf, 3rd Baron Braunkrug. Hang on. Also, since the Suppression Bureau was mentioned, I wonder where the city where Cultist Simulator takes place was geographically. I don't know if it's ever specified. I'm just gonna assume it's somewhere in England. Walter the Wolf, 3rd Baron Braunkrug, was grandson of Thomas, son of the disgraced Giles. Just lay the entire goddamn family line out, will ya? Who eloped with Pale Havren. The Wolf line might have entered here if the Seneschal Ernestine, by then over 80, had not managed to reconcile Thomas with a dying Giles. What do you mean near, Valent? Just lay the entire goddamn family line out for me, won't you? So, Valentine just straight up says 6th, so Musgrave is then either 5th or 4th. What the fuck noises were my mouth making there? Or 7th? No, because it said about someone that she was 7th. Was it Eva? Oh, wait. Thomas is 2nd. Why does it say 3rd then? Oh, Eva the Wolf was 1st and last Baroness. Because she's the only female. Poor Father Valentine, but she is the daughter of Valentine, who is 6, so she would be 7th. I don't know where her bust is, so I don't know how relevant that will be, but yeah, that's the thing. Near enough to this town, we are literally on an island. We are on one of the British islands, so I don't know. I mean, I guess in perspective, to an American perspective, everything would be near. In any case, you. Health, fear, skills. I can make a bit clever, it's not. I'm not gonna, but I could. 108. Eva the Wolf discourses on the 5th history, and particularly on those who are said to have passed over from it. The great hoofed princess, the Knocklong, who ascended under the mother of ants, but now, so Eva claims, under the horned axe. Foresight! Nice! That's what I wanted from you, Denzel. Might as well talk to him again, though. I would say I paid for your time, but I didn't. But still. Muff. The only Moth book I have requires a lot more Moth than 4, though. It requires 8, which is twice as many. A scroll, a book with a very long page. Gotta love Alexis Kennedy sometimes. One of these had to forge the meniscus reflections. Westcott's compounds, but let's just read this book. Door and wall. That's another knock one, almost. The Great Hooded Princess called their library the Tomb of Lies, and this has given rise to a foolish tradition that the princes are habitual liars. Of course, in fact, truth flourishes when lies are slain. On the other hand, the princes do not say knowledge is power, but rather power is knowledge. I can't exalt him with my skills, can I? Because that would make unlocking that easier. Eva, to her regret, never visited the library. She notes that it is said to be to the west of the Lion and north of Victory, and suggests that although the princes are generally associated with India, their library might be farther east. Further east of the library in India, that would be Chinatown. A confounding parable. The moth, the grail, and the egg unhatching all tell different stories of the world's beginning. One of those stories is the oldest, but it might not be the first. Abbas Nana. I've gained more understanding of pentaments and precursors. Memory of intuition. Incidentally, what happens if I unite 5 of these? A midnight mark. It's too close to dusk to exalt Denzel a lot. And I can't collaborate with him using unless I have something that requires exactly 3 forge, I am going to have to let you go. That's fine. What happens if I make a midnight mark? Might as well try. Wolf stories with Prentice level moon creates midnight mark. Or for a scholar level recipe, if I use this on remains, I can render something darkly leathery and chillingly powerful. Well, I don't have scholar level moon power, so let's just do that. Walter, though nominally siding with the parliamentarians, manages to stay out of the war. But in 1642, his son Brian runs away on the night of his 16th birthday and joins the royalist army. He is captured and returned to his father, who pleads for mercy and gives his parole for his son's good behavior. Pentaments and precursors. Feats and fates of forgotten things. The Canopus Cross, the line of Antiochus, the world of a low red sun. Though much is taken, much abides. In 1648, Brian runs away again to join a royalist uprising. Walter writes of news that Brian has been seen on the field of battle at Gear Camp, but that his fate is yet unknown. Walter writes one last entry about his fear for his son and the future of his family. Then the journal ends, but the extensive account of Walter's collaboration with the architect Gregory Wheelock includes useful esoteric knowledge. Door and wall. Shame I can't exalt Denzel with the forge. Not that I think anything here asked for exactly 4 forge, or well, not exactly, but at least. So it wouldn't have been that useful anyway. On midnight, a blemish left on a page or a skin by a careful incision or a judicious sting should preserve a little of the power of life. It's a mark. I don't know what this is useful for, but I have it. I mean, I do know where I could potentially use it. I don't have access to it yet, and I'm not sure why I would want it. But I have it now. Oh well. door and wall. At least I can now reliably get to 4 knock. Oh god, it's foggy again. Hang on. That gets me to 7. Unfortunately, I don't need to get to 7. I need to get to 8. That's irritating. Reverend Timothy enjoys thoughtful conversation, prayer, and tea, and he'll offer his assistance in return for a 1 shilling donation to church funds. I don't have 1 shilling. I only have 9 pence. I'll have to get his assistance a little later. Dawn period. This book was written around the time of Hush House's Dawn period, sometime before the end of the first millennium, commonly reckoned. If I examine it, I can learn more about what knowledge it might contain. Books from this period are sometimes contaminated. The Songs of the Cannabis. Jesus Christ. Yeah, we won't be reading that anytime soon. Actually, before I exalt something with that, do I actually need 6 knocks somewhere? 5. Let's make use of the rector's assistance. I've been hissing today. Apparently I'm one of the great hooded princes now. Six moon. That I can do. It is written in Firkian. Apparently I can read Firkian, but not everyone can. Let's see, 2 from this, 2 from, 1 from that. I would need something like a fog to read that then. Too bad, I already decided to burn that. Oh well. The Shadowed Atrium. I don't need to listen to everything Reverend Timothy says. He doesn't even really expect me to, but I'm often glad when I do. I see. Education or beguile? The Shadowed Atrium. This has long been a holy place, but in the absence of prayers, other influences have crept in. I'll need to help you purify it, step by step. The Shrine of Saint Januarius. Saint Januarius is the name which was wounded, the name of exceptions, the little god at the door. In 1651, Musgrave the Wolf endowed the atrium with a shrine to Saint Januarius of the Gate. Musgrave was a pious man, but also a Puritan, so this grand shrine was a little unusual. Saint Januarius is also an unusual choice, but he is the patron saint of boundaries, and the wolves were often said in some sense to be martial lords charged with the keeping of boundaries. I don't know what martial lords means. Is there a time period that I could lock down? Because that sounds like he's the 5th, not the 4th. But I don't really have proof of that. I can always change my answer later too. But that seems like as good a point to stop as any other. I'm just gonna let the day roll over. Actually, maybe stop here, just so that the day rolls over when I come back. In any case, try to about my script, please. Let's go say hi to Nadia, and why not? If you know this channel, you know who Nadia is. She's playing Bitcraft online, whatever that is. So go have fun with her. In any case, I would like to thank everyone who came and watched me today. I would like to thank Valent in particular for keeping me company today. Go have fun with Nadia, have a good night, And as always, don't be a stranger, because that's my job. Good night.